RCB, will it be this year? That's a question we ask every year, don't we? And there's all kinds of memes, but I'm going to put all that aside and first of all acknowledge that RCB has just the most incredible fan base. Now, the good thing about this fan base, sometimes it can put a lot of pressure on you, but this is a very emotional fan base, but it's also a very accepting fan base. So if they finish fifth, they'll say, doesn't matter, you played well, come back next year. So they've got this colossal following, but I don't think as a unit, they're under too much pressure because of this fan following. That's the view I have from the outside. I don't know how the players feel from the inside, but that fan following deserves a playoff berth. It deserves a win at some point. Let's see if that's possible. First of all, for RCB to go well, they've got to form a great relationship with the ground that they are playing on. It's a very peculiar situation. RCB is the only team that has won less than 50% of its matches playing at home in the last few years. And there's a reason for that. All the other outstation teams love coming and playing in Bangalore. They should actually worry about going to play away games, but it's such an interesting venue that everybody else likes to come and play there. And after 2016, 2024 was the first time when they played all their matches at home and qualified. I know there were COVID years in between. So the first thing about this season for RCB is that they've got to befriend that surface for themselves and make it difficult somehow for the opposition. And I think in the way they've structured that team, they've taken note of that because it's a very, very powerful hitting side. But we'll come to that in just a moment. The second thing that strikes me about RCB this year, and it surprised me a little bit, was that they let Faf du Plessis go. They're probably thinking, look, Faf is 40, this is a 3-year cycle, will he be good enough for us over the next 2 or 3 years? We don't suddenly want to change captains, teams midstream. It must have been a very, very difficult decision because Faf, both as captain and as opener, was a fantastic player for them. Faf and Virat Kohli scored more runs as an opening combination the last 2 years than anybody else. They scored it at a fantastic strike rate. Faf du Plessis was scoring at 164, and you see around on the franchise circuit, it's still very good. So there's a Faf-sized hole that they've got to fill both as opener and as captain. Now let's see how they're doing that one. The opener role is easier. We'll come to that in a minute. They've gone with Rajat Patidar as captain. It's a huge show of faith in a young player, well, young in terms of being around at the highest level. He's about 30, 31, but a player of enormous potential, extraordinary ability, fine player of spin. So someone who's not worried about his place. He had a very good season last year, but as captain of a franchise with the most unbelievable fan base, Rajat Patidar will have to be ready before the first game starts and more than anything else, form a very, very close working relationship with Virat Kohli. Because there are some players, even if they are not the captain, they're the leader of the side. Everybody is looking at them. Everybody is gravitating around them. Virat Kohli is a huge leader for RCB. So the Patidar-Kohli relationship will have to be strong. At one level, Patidar will have to be his own person. At one level, he'll have to lean on Virat Kohli. So that arrangement will form a big part of what happens with RCB this year. Now let's go and see how they've structured their side. No Faf. They wanted someone very powerful because when you're playing at RCB, you want a really powerful batting lineup at that Chinnaswamy Stadium. They've gone with Phil Salt. I think it's a fantastic selection. It allows them a keeper if necessary because they've got Jitesh Sharma down as well, but it gives them that power at the top. They've replaced a 164 strike rate batter with a 175 strike rate batter in Phil Salt. So that is going absolutely fine. Then just a small issue in that while they're very, very well stocked with powerful overseas batters, I think they're a little light on Indian batters. And I think Devdutt Padikkal at number 3 has a big role to play. He's been around for a long time. He's playing much better over 50 overs, did well in the test matches too. But at the IPL level, you look at him and say his numbers have got to be better. So at number 3, he's got to play a big part. He brings in the left-handedness, but he can't close the game there because after him, wow, there'll be a temptation to play Rajat Patidar at number 3 The reason I'm looking at Patidar at number 4 is that he's a phenomenal player of spin. Now, down that RCB batting lineup, their strike rates drop for most of the players when you compare spin and pace. Very good against pace, drop a little bit against spin. Rajat Patidar is the exception. I mean, I'm looking at Patidar's numbers over the last couple of years against spin. He's averaging 63.5 and hitting at 186. He's got a big part to play in decimating the opposition spin through the middle overs. So I see Patidar at number 4. Then they've got power to come. Liam Livingstone at 5. They hope Jitesh Sharma has a good season. Jitesh Sharma, him at number 6. And then at number 7, they've got a lot of options. Either they can go with an out-and-out finisher, fearsome on that Chinnaswamy track. He'll be a phenomenal batter, someone like a Tim David. Or they might say, we need a little bit more spin because our spin stocks are slightly meager. So maybe we'll go with Jacob Bethel, also the left-hander in there. But they've also got the option of the very destructive Romario Shepherd to bat in there if they still think they need that extra seam bowler. I think they might need an extra spinner. So one of those three, I think they might go with Bethel, or they've got David handy there. Now let's look at their bowling. Typically, RCB, you look at RCB and you just go, wow, 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 wow. But who's doing the bowling? And I think that's why they've gone with Josh Hazlewood. They'll be sweating a little bit on his fitness, but everything that we're hearing says, look, he took the break off. He had family reasons, he had injury reasons, but he's going to be fit and fine, because if he's bowling well, that's a very big part of RCB's bowling. Then you look at what they've got around the bowling. They've punted on Bhuvi. Bhuvi is a fantastic IPL player. Is he just past his prime a little bit? So keep your eyes on Bhuvi. It's a very tough gig for Bhuvi to be opening the bowling on that ground. So they've got Bhuvi, they've retained Yash Dayal. I like Yash Dayal enormously as a bowler. And then they can go in with the impact sub, because they've got Krunal Pandya as their only spinner, but he can bat, he can float anywhere. Is he a 4 overs bank though at this stage in his career? He will need to be this year for RCB. And then their impact sub, if they think they've got with Bethel, Livingston and Pandya enough spin bowling, then they can go with the Rasik Salamdar, who's been very impressive last couple of years. Or they might go with someone like Suyash Sharma. They've got Swapnil as well, but he's almost more batter than bowler. So you look down that lineup and say, yes, at home, very, very powerful. Away, if they're playing on slowish spinning tracks, bit of an issue for RCB, because I don't think they can give as much to those surfaces as some other players. But overall, it's a powerful side. They will want Virat Kohli to have a big season. Wow, what a season he had last year. You can't expect someone to have a 930 season every year, but last year, close to 750 runs, Virat Kohli in form. You see him back in ODI cricket. He's playing ODI cricket like he owns the surface, like he owns the format. Now comes back opening the batting. He has a big season. He's taking a lot of pressure off the big hitters to follow. So still the talisman, still the key there. But if they can get those fast bowlers to do well, if they can make Chinnaswamy their home and win more matches than they lose, then RCB have got a very good chance of making the playoffs.